What is up, YouTube? Back again with another video. We're going to be reacting to the rise and fall of gaming journalism. What happened? So here we go.
Gaming journalism isn't what it once was. In fact, just mentioning the words gaming journalism these days seems to only provoke negative reactions. This is how badly these companies have damaged their own reputation. Almost every week, I see the same sentence pop up somewhere online that says, "Remember, you don't hate gaming journalists enough." Whether it's in the comment section on a YouTube video, or a Facebook or Instagram post, or even on X, gamers seem to be unified in his thoughts across the internet. It's a clear sign that gamers genuinely wouldn't mind if the majority of gaming journalism outlets just disappeared at this point. Gamers used to love the likes of IGN, for example, because it felt like they were one of us. But now to see them lay off a lot more of their staff this month has sparked some interesting reactions online. A large part of the gaming community celebrated this, as if this result is a form of justice, whereas another portion of the gaming community were saddened by the idea that the IGN they once loved has allowed itself to fall this far. So how did we get here? How is it that gaming journalists, much like many AAA gaming companies, have become so disconnected from their audience that it's come to this? Let's rewind for a second to what a lot of—
Look, he is not wrong about that. IGN, any other, gaming news. I think over time, it just lost that respect. Like he was saying, it doesn't feel like they're actually playing the game to actually give a good solid review like they do back in the day. It's just like all the pump a video out, oh, we'll give it a 6, we'll give it a 5, a 7. It's like, okay, where are you getting all this like idea of giving it a low rating score without actually giving it a try and actually putting time into the game? And really understand, like, okay, you know what, I'm actually going to give it a good score, or I'm going to give it a mid score, instead of just pump a video out, and then it's like there's nothing there. They just bash the whole game for an 8-minute video, and it's not giving any review on it. So as someone that's like, oh, I want to buy that game, and they watch a review on it, turns out they don't even give you a review. They just like bash the game with stuff that they don't like about it, which is stupid.
of us remember as the golden age of gaming journalism. Back then, gaming magazines like Nintendo Power, PC Gamer, and Game Informer weren't just magazines. They were a gateway into the world we loved. They had this unique way of connecting with us, speaking a language that every gamer just understood and spoke themselves. This was especially
Damn, I miss that. When you open the book, it gave you articles about games coming out. I mean, even had the CD in it. It'd give you a demo, man. Those were the days back in the day. Or like they would be already like wrapped up in plastic, and you would just buy it. I see, back then that era was like, top tier when it came to gaming. And that's what it was. Everybody was in a gaming community. There was people writing about games. There was magazines, and it's just like anytime the internet came into the picture, everything went onto websites and digital. That's when everything went down to shit, in my opinion.
important at the time because of how niche gaming was in most households. I'll never forget those moments when my mom would arrive back from her monthly grocery shop. I'd race to the car because I knew she'd picked up a copy of either the PC format or the NAG magazine for me, your South African variants of gaming magazines. It was such a small thing, but my mom knew that it made me happy for the rest of the week. I was hooked on those magazines. Over time, I'd even figure out which of the writers had the same taste in games as me, and I'd always look out for their names in these magazines. Gaming journalists used to deliver an amazing experience that a lot of us will always remember. When the internet took over, sites like IGN, GameSpot, and GameFAQs kept the energy alive. They weren't just about reviews and news, they were about community. Forums were always buzzing with debates, walkthroughs, and theories. Early reviews felt like it was simply gamers talking to gamers, because that's exactly what it was. It wasn't just about the games, it was about the culture. That era was about celebrating games. Big events like E3 felt magical, where developers, journalists, and players came together to share in the excitement of announcements and reveals. It was a time when the line between fans and journalists was blurred, because at the end of the day, journalists were gamers too.
Yeah.
But like all
And it's true. E3, I mean, like, you would be hyped as a kid. You were gonna go check out a game that you had interest in about. You had, developers that were there, you could ask them questions about the game. It's like it's not even like that anymore. There's not even E3 anymore. So it's like that passion of gaming, as a community with people on the back end that review these games, it's not there anymore. And it sucks. You know, back then in the early 2000s, 1990s, that's when gaming was at its high. You know, everybody wanted to talk with each other, just like those websites. You know, join communities. You know, even doing achievements. You know, trying to understand how do you beat this one achievement. That back then it was just everything about gaming was at its peak.
All golden ages, it didn't last forever. By the 2010s, cracks started to show. Traffic became the priority and sensationalism took over. Why? Because ad revenue now relied on clicks. And when your business
Yep.
model depends on clicks, trust and quality often disappear. News, reviews, and entertainment were no longer the product. You and I became the product. The majority of news outlets, not just gaming journalists, quickly learned that sensationalism equals profit. And where there's sensationalism, there is disconnect. It wasn't just clickbait though. There was also this new phenomenon of first come, first served. Instead of publishing a monthly magazine where journalists could spend more time refining and crafting something thought-provoking and entertaining, a never-ending rat race began. Companies now competed to get previews, reviews, and news out faster than the competition. Articles started feeling rushed, and reviews were becoming increasingly.
And he is absolutely 100% on the dot. It's all about, oh, who can post it first, who can write a review, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna type up about, you know, any type of FPS game, and they'll write a shitty review about it. I'll post it, and it's like, there you go. That's how you're gonna tarnish your image as a company that reviews games, and it's obviously it is happening, and people are angry about it because they're not putting the passion and effort into these, you know, reviews.
Increasingly more disconnected from gamers. It was clear that it didn't feel like it was gamers talking to gamers anymore. Now, a lot of people have grown so tired of this. Just look at the recent reviews around Concord. Self-proclaimed critics gave this game a 7 out of 10 or even an 8 out of 10, while literally the entire gaming community rejected this game into oblivion. Saying these reviews felt out of touch is an understatement. There is so obviously a disconnect between these journalists and actual gamers.
You are who I think you are. You should give me another chance.
I don't think we're alike at all.
Then there's the issue of access journalism. Game publishers started controlling the narrative more aggressively, using embargoes and restrictions to shape coverage. If a journalist criticized a game, they risked losing early access or exclusives in the future. And when you're in a state of competing for clicks, losing that access can be devastating for your company. So do you tell the truth and risk backlash from the publishers? Or do you play it safe and lose credibility with your readers? Definitely not an easy decision. This disconnect has definitely brought a major shift over the years. As trust in traditional outlets faded, a lot of gamers turned to the reviews and opinions of YouTubers. Creators like Angry Joe and the amazing Total Biscuit felt authentic. They didn't need publisher approval and they weren't afraid to tell it like it is.
And he's not wrong about that. You know, you can, you know, I usually watch streamers or, like you said, YouTubers, and I watch someone play a game. Yeah, it's like $75 total cost of it. That's a lot of money. So, you know, you watch a streamer, they play it, and then they give their opinion. You watch another streamer, and then they give they have nothing to lose. These companies are paying them to play the game early. And honestly, this is the new way of getting a review of a game before you're actually going to put up your hard-earned money that you saved, or you've been waiting for this game for a couple years, you know? So that is the new wave of looking at the reviews. And honestly, it's a safer bet because these people can give their honest opinion and not get any backlash over it. Unlike all these other, you know, journalists that write games, they're in the middle. They can't say right or they can't say wrong without getting in trouble.
If a game was broken, they'd call it out. If it was great, you can tell their praise was genuine.
Like, this probably is like probably one of the greatest games I ever played in my whole life. It's like, it's just so good. It's so good, man. Stop, man, stop. I hate this game, bro.
Now, this raises a big question.
Fucking ass,
Why
man.
do companies like IGN still have an audience? If you've watched my previous videos, you would know that I'm just a casual gamer. I don't always have time to sit down and actually play games, let alone dive into the drama around gaming journalism. So, let's say I see a game advertised from a franchise I loved as a kid or teenager, or from a company I used to praise and trust. Naturally, I would want to go where I've always gone for insight on these games. IGN, PC Gamer, or Game Informer. And honestly, most casual gamers would probably stop their research right there. How do I know this? Because most of my friends, who are dads, husbands, accountants, financial advisors, tradesmen, and just generally busy guys, still read and trust IGN. Simply because they always have. Although the funny thing is, some of them have actually now stopped reading IGN because of what happened with Dragon Age: The Veil God. I have a good friend who grew up loving the Dragon Age series. Years later, a new sequel, The Veil God, was announced, and he got pretty excited. Ahead of launch, he checks IGN's reviews and he sees a 9 out of 10. Now bear in mind, he does not keep up with the politics behind any of this stuff, because he is simply a very busy guy. Now, this confirms his excitement. There are no warnings, no caveats, just another Dragon Age with a 9 out of 10 from IGN. So the game launches, and he finally gets to play it. And he is obviously blindsided. The game does not live up to its predecessors. It even feels like the developers sacrificed the gritty story writing of the franchise just to push a progressive agenda in a very heavy-handed, cringeworthy way.
So, I'm non-binary.
And IGN gave it a higher review score than any of the previous titles. A lot of these big outlets have obviously let people down, and more gamers are starting to look elsewhere for honest opinions. So where does that leave us? Is gaming journalism gonna eventually disappear? I don't think it will, but I do believe gamers are finally holding these companies accountable. I do believe as gaming journalism has declined, we have definitely seen a rise in...
I think over time, for a fact, and it's already happening. You watch a streamer, you watch a YouTube video, that's where you're going to get raw opinion about a game before you buy it. You know, yes, IGN, Game Forum, they're all going to be there no matter what. But people are going to return to their favorite YouTubers or their streamers, and that's where you're going to get their honest opinion about a game. That's the new wave. Like I said before a while back, that's where everybody's doing, and that's going to be the new thing now. We're not going to be looking at people writing articles about games anymore because they give shit ratings.
Trusted YouTubers and indie creators who are doing something traditional outlets struggle with. They embrace the difficult conversations around gaming, and a lot of them do it well. Let's face it, games aren't a one-size-fits-all. What I love about a game might be what you hate about it, and that's fine. Independent creators own their biases. When they rave about a game, it feels like a recommendation from a fellow gamer, not some detached, objective critic. And that honesty, it resonates. On top of that, creators build communities. They're in the comments, hosting live streams, and engaging with their audience in ways traditional outlets just don't anymore. That direct connection is a big reason why so many gamers are turning to independent content creators for their reviews and insights. So, what does the future of gaming journalism look like? The truth is, it's unclear, but one thing is for sure, the old model of sensationalism, clickbait headlines, and ignoring what the audience really cares about is fading fast. Gamers are tired of feeling like we're being sold something that is not genuine. We want transparency, we want honesty, and we want to feel connected to the people reviewing our favorite games. As a gamer, I have to say the worst thing I've seen gaming journalists do is turn on the core audience and paint us as villains. Instead of engaging with the community, some journalists have chosen to throw accusations at gamers, stating we are the problem with the gaming industry. Gaming journalism won't disappear, but it will have to evolve. The outlets that survive will be the ones that understand the shift and reconnect with their audience. It's not just about getting the first scoop anymore. It's about providing real, thoughtful coverage that respects the community and acknowledges the diverse opinions within it. It's gotten to the point that when outlets like PC Gamer might actually produce thoughtful content that raises valid points, No one cares anymore. They automatically face backlash from the internet due to the reputation they've built over time. The recent article on Path of Exile 2 was a prime example of this. Readers see the headline and they immediately assume it's a bad article. But this is a completely self-induced problem, and this is the consequences. The rise of independent creators and YouTubers shows us what gaming journalism could become. More personal, more honest, and more connected to the audience. These creators are giving a voice to the gamers, and they are filling a gap left by the big outlets that became more concerned with clicks than delivering real value. It's a new era, and if traditional outlets want to stay relevant, they'll need to adapt or risk being left behind. As for gamers, we're starting to take control. We're demanding better, and most importantly, we're holding these companies accountable. Thank you everyone for watching, and a very special thank you to my Patreons. If you're keen to look into my Patreon, do check the link in the description below. I'm really enjoying building this community with all of you. Also, a very big thank you to Sennheiser for these headphones. This isn't a sponsorship, but a few weeks ago, I reached out to them and asked them for a sponsor, but they sent them to me completely for free. Really, really like them. You can check a link in the description below for them. Like I said, it's not a sponsor, but I do want to support them because they have supported me.
And hey, he nailed it with this video. You know, everything he talked about was, it's true. You know, everybody's going from, we all followed journalists that wrote about games, you know, on websites, magazines, to now we're shifting to content creators that are giving their opinion, and then we follow their opinion and we either buy the game or we don't buy the game, and that's the new ages. You know, I hope things can get better. I hope they can revive that community and build it on how it was back in the day, in the 90s, in the early 2000s, and it was the golden age, you know, era when it came to, you know, gaming reviews. So, you know, really good video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow the X, follow the Twitch. I try to stream as my best when I try to find time. And I'll catch you guys back with another video when I can post one again. Peace.